marking 1 year of war.
A minute of silence. A minute of silence to those that we'll remember.
365 days after Russia invaded Ukraine, President Zelensky is vowing victory. We are on the ground. Also, David Muir's exclusive interview with President Biden on the war. Plus,
to the Polish people, I want to say thank you very much for the man who helps to Ukrainian women, to Ukrainian children, to all Ukrainian people.
The war created the biggest refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. We're going to take a look at how some of the 15 million Ukrainian refugees have fared since they were forced to flee. And
I think if I even let anyone know an ounce of what I've gone through, they wouldn't believe me.
R&B's It Girl, Chloe Bailey, and pioneer Sheila E. sit down to talk about their glamorous lives in the industry as we look ahead to our special Culture Conversations. Good evening, I'm Phil Lipoff, in tonight for Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We are following those stories and much more tonight, including the decision the University of Idaho has made regarding the home where those 4 college students were murdered. Plus, new information on why credit card debt is now reaching record highs and how it could have a ripple effect for consumers. And how police were able to find a toddler in the woods after being missing for more than a day. Our correspondents are across the country covering those stories and more for us tonight. But first, 1 year ago today, Russia began its long, deadly, and unjustified war in Ukraine. It's been a war many thought would be over in a matter of weeks, but thanks to the resilience of the Ukrainian people and really the unprecedented international effort to help, it has now lasted 365 days. The war has created a humanitarian crisis on a scale Europe has not seen since World War II. Roughly 21,000 Ukrainian civilians have been killed or injured. More than 15 million Ukrainians have fled the country, 8 million to Europe alone, with the Polish people opening their hearts and their homes to millions. President Biden and the U.S. at the forefront of the international effort. David Muir's exclusive conversation with President Biden in Warsaw is coming up in just a moment. But first, Ian Pannell joins us now from Kyiv. Ian, you've spent months in Ukraine over the last 365 days. First, what stands out to you the most about the strength and spirit of the Ukrainian people 1 year into the war? And then what does this country still need in the days ahead?
Yeah, I think it's the unity of the nation and this commonality of purpose. I've covered many conflicts around the world. I don't think I've ever seen a nation pull together the way Ukraine did, almost immediately. Remember, shortly before the war, many Ukrainians didn't think it was actually going to happen, that there wouldn't really be an invasion. There'd been these false alarms beforehand. I also kind of shared that view up until the 11th hour. So I think seeing everyone rallying together, not just the military, but regular citizens becoming volunteers or choosing to go onto the front line or doing whatever they can. You know, there was a story about a grandmother who used to teach ballet, then making Molotov cocktails, these petrol bombs, to throw at the Russians should they invade Kyiv. I also think, as you mentioned, the readiness and capability of Ukraine to stand tall and to withstand the Russian invasion. I think the other really surprising thing has actually been the incompetency of the Russian army. I mean, they were commonly regarded as the second most powerful military in the world, and yet the truth is that actually they were beset by corruption, poor decision-making, inability to be flexible to the realities on the ground. And that's what accounts partly for the success of Ukraine. And again, as you say, that unity of the international community. This really has been a test of wills. President Putin undoubtedly gambled that Ukraine would be weak and the international community would be divided. And as President Biden said this last week, neither of those things proved to be the case. But I think the real test will come over the next 12 months and perhaps even longer into the future. How united will the international community be? How determined will President Putin be? And can Ukraine withstand?
Ian, thank you for that from Ukraine tonight. And for more on this 1 year mark since the war in Ukraine began, let's get to World News Tonight anchor David Muir's exclusive and wide-ranging conversation with President Biden.
Mr. President, you know, as we sit here today, it was 1 year ago today, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. You said in Warsaw that Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. So how does this war end, and what does victory look like?
Well, that depends on what the Ukrainians decide. But here's what we have to do in the meantime. We have to put the Ukrainians in a position where they can make advances this spring and summer and move to a place where they can negotiate from a position of strength. And, but you know, that expression, you've heard me use it before and others, nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. We're not going to dictate to them what the end result is.
When you talk about them negotiating, does that mean they get to keep Crimea and parts of the east?
That means they decide that. The Ukrainians decide that. But I could picture a circumstance where there's a transition to that. It's not all at one time. Look, a year ago today, there were only 70 kilometers from the border where the Russians expected they'd come rolling down into Kyiv and own it all. They got pushed back. It didn't happen. And I think they underestimated a great deal, the Russians did.
You announced another $2.5 billion in aid to Ukraine today, $113 billion now. We know the vast majority of Americans support Ukraine, but there are now many who are asking, how long can we spend like this?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure how many are asking. I know the mega crowd is. The right-wing Republicans are, you know, talking about we can't do this. You find ourselves in a situation where the cost of walking away could be considerably higher than the cost of helping Ukraine maintain its independence.
We know the Germans are now sending tanks in after the U.S. said it would send Abrams tanks as well. But we know President Zelensky continues to say what he really needs are F-16s. Will you send F-16s?
Look, we're sending him what our seasoned military thinks he needs now. He needs tanks, he needs artillery, he needs air defense, including another HIMARS. There's things he needs now that we're sending him to put him in a position to be able to make gains this spring and this summer going into the fall.
You don't think he needs F-16s now?
No, he doesn't need F-16s now.
Is that a never?
Look, first of all, the idea that we know exactly what's going to be needed a year, 2, 3 from now, but there is no basis upon which there is a rationale, according to our military now, to provide F-16s.
But you're not ruling it out?
I am ruling it out for now.
For now. Vladimir Putin told the Russian people this week that China's President Xi is coming to Russia, likely as early as this spring. I know the State Department and the Pentagon now have both warned China not to offer lethal military assistance to Russia in this war with Ukraine, saying the U.S. is concerned that China is considering providing lethal support to Russia. Would that cross a line for you?
Look, it's not in China's. I had a very frank conversation with President Xi this past summer on this issue. And I pointed out to him, the conversation went like this. I said, Mr. President, this is not a threat, it's just an assertion, a statement of what I think the reality is. You saw what happened when the rest of the world, Europe in particular, saw the brutality of what Putin was doing in Ukraine to the Ukrainians from Russia. And I said, without any government prodding, 600 American corporations left Russia, from McDonald's to Exxon to across the board. And I said, and if you are engaged in the same kind of brutality by supporting the brutality that's going on, I said, you may face the same consequence. I don't anticipate, we haven't seen it yet, but I don't anticipate a major initiative on the part of China providing weaponry to Russia. But
if they did, would that be crossing a line for you, Mr. President?
It would be the same line everyone else would have crossed. In other words, we impose severe sanctions on anyone who has done that.
So there would be serious consequences?
I'll let you characterize what they would be. We would respond.
I ask you all of this because there's a new report in the German newspaper Der Spiegel that the Russian military could be negotiating right now with a Chinese drone manufacturer to produce kamikaze drones for Russia. Are you aware of this? Is U.S. intelligence tracking this?
U.S. intelligence is aware of everything that's going on in this area, but I'm not going to confirm specifically what U.S. intelligence has found out or not found out.
What do you make of this Chinese peace plan floated overnight that Putin is now applauding today?
I think you answered the question. Putin's applauding it. So how could it be any good? I'm not being facetious. I'm being deadly earnest. I've seen nothing in the plan that would indicate that there is something that would be beneficial to anyone other than Russia if the Chinese plan were followed. And so the idea that China is going to be negotiating the outcome of a war that's a totally unjust war for Ukraine is just not rational.
Let me ask about U.S.-China relations in general, already strained after the Chinese spy balloon over the U.S. Let me just ask you this first. Do we know definitively yet whether or not that spy balloon was flying over the continental U.S. intentionally?
It is almost not relevant once it was over the United States.
So there's a possibility President Xi didn't know?
There is a possibility of that.
Were they surveilling the U.S. or attempting to?
That's what that balloon does, surveillance.
Let me ask you, when the balloon was shot down off South Carolina, the defense secretary placed a call to his Chinese counterpart on a line that's supposed to always be open. The Chinese did not take the call. They didn't pick up the phone. Does that trouble you?
Yes. There should be a direct open line of communications, particularly from two most powerful nations in the world, to be able to resolve anything quickly so there's not a mistake made.
The defense secretary says they still haven't had that call. How does the U.S., how does your administration fix this?
We make it clear that it's necessary for that to occur. We can't fix it.
I want to ask you about a couple of issues here at home. It's been 3 weeks now since the toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, as you know. The mayor says he saw you in Ukraine, and he says it tells you he doesn't care about us. They're asking, is the president coming to Ohio? Do you have any plan to travel to Ohio, and have you talked with the mayor yet?
Let's put this in perspective. Within 2 hours of that derailment, the EPA was in there. Within 2 hours. Every major agency in the United States government that had anything to do with rail and or cleanup was there and is there. In addition to that, I've spoken at length to the congresspersons, the governors, the senators from both states of Pennsylvania and in Ohio. And I've made it clear to them anything they need is available. We'll make it available to them. Whatever happens here, we got to understand it's the responsibility of the railroad company, who's made, by the way, tens of billions of dollars in profits. Tens of billions of dollars of profits lately.
So do you plan to travel there, and have you talked with the mayor?
I can't recall whether I don't think I've talked to the mayor. I've talked to everyone else there, and I've multiple times. Talked to both the senators, both governors. I've talked to everyone there is to talk to. And we've made it clear that everything is available.
Let me ask you the question everyone is asking. Are you running?
Well, apparently someone interviewed my wife today, I heard.
I heard that too, just before I came in.
I got to call her and find out. No, all kidding aside. My intention hasn't been from the beginning to run, but there's too many other things I have to finish in the near term before I start a campaign.
Well, let me ask you, you brought up your wife, the First Lady, Jill Biden, obviously, traveling in Kenya. She was asked just today, is all that's left at this point simply setting a time and a place for the announcement? And she said, pretty much. Do you agree with your wife's assessment?
I would say, God love her. Look, I meant what I said. I've got other things to finish before I get into a full-blown campaign.
Let me ask you about a conversation that people are having at home. Both your supporters and your critics. They know that if you're reelected, you would be 82 when you're sworn in. You would be 86 at the end of your term. Is your age part of your own calculation into whether to run again?
No, but it's legitimate for people to raise issues about my age. It's totally legitimate to do that. And the only thing I can say is watch me.
Let me ask you one of the immediate questions, if and when you do announce that you're running again. You and the former president are both now under investigation by the Justice Department for the discovery of these classified documents. I know that you believe these two cases are very different, but I do remember something you said after the discovery at Mar-a-Lago. You said, I thought data that was in there may compromise sources and methods and names of people who help, and it's just totally irresponsible. Can you assure the American people that none of the documents discovered in your garage or at your old office compromised sources or methods or U.S. intelligence?
I've been advised by the counsel, let the Justice Department make that decision, to not try to alter the case in any way. There have been very few documents that have been confiscated, found in my possession that were in, other than I mean, in my possession, meaning in my home. All the stuff that was moved out of my Senate office over the years, I'm told there were a couple things that were from 1973 or 74. Documents were marked classified. I don't know of anything, and maybe I don't know of anything that is marked like it was, top secret, highly, et cetera. But I'm told not to comment on that because I don't even know what they are able to, what they confiscated.
There are many who will understand why you can't comment, why your lawyers are saying not to comment. They also saw you, though, comment on former President Trump. And so at the very least... Because,
look, here's what they were showing. You guys were showing on television things lying on the ground that said top secret, national, code word. And the difference is every single solitary thing I've been asked to do, I've done voluntarily. I've invited the Justice Department to come into every aspect of any place that I had any control of. There was no need for search warrants, or no need. Well, what do you need? Just come. Whatever you want. Whatever you want, wherever you want to go, you can go. That was totally different.
But that one word you used, when you hear about boxes in your garage or in your old office, you called the Trump discovery irresponsible. Is there something irresponsible here, though, too?
You're a good lawyer, but you're trying to make a comparison. There's degrees of irresponsibility they can be significant degrees of responsibility. The way in which the boxes were packed up from my office, apparently not everything was gone through as meticulously as it should have, but there was no intention. I opened up my home, all my homes. The home at the beach and the home that my permanent home. And they spent hours and hours going through everything, personal, everything I had. And that's a fundamentally different thing. There's nothing for me to hide.
Our thanks to David for that interview with President Biden. Also tonight, ABC News has learned former Vice President Mike Pence is expected to fight a grand jury subpoena in the special counsel's Trump probe. The subpoena requested documents and testimony related to the failed attempt by former President Trump and his allies to overturn the 2020 election. The move to compel Pence's testimony was followed by months of negotiations between federal prosecutors and Pence's legal team. Representatives for Pence did not respond to a request for comment from ABC News. Now to the powerful winter storm moving through the west and heading east. It's resulted in the first ever blizzard warning in Southern California's San Bernardino County, where the city of Wrightwood got several feet of snow. And in LA County, parts of Interstate 5 had to be shut down north of the city, with drivers forced to turn around. Let's get right to senior meteorologist Rob Marciano tracking the storm. Rob.
Hey, Phil. Well, Wrightwood also had 61-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so wind and snow there. Just an incredible historic storm, Phil. And we're looking at the blizzard warnings to continue overnight through a big chunk of Southern California, Santa Barbara, Ventura, LA County, into San Bernardino, as you mentioned. And that plume of moisture really been pointed out of Santa Barbara and Ventura County all day today. Los Angeles to San Diego in the morning, that's where the heaviest stuff is going to be. And we'll probably see some flooding because of it. And of course, those low snow levels, we'll continue to see those snows pile up in places that we don't typically see it. 5 to 8 feet in Southern California. Come on, 3 to 6 more inches of rain potentially. And we've already had wind gusts over 80 miles an hour. So gusts to 70 plus still in the forecast, at least for the next 12 hours. But this thing quickly ejects into the plains on Sunday for a severe weather threat from Lincoln, Nebraska through Wichita down through Oklahoma City. Damaging winds and tornadoes possible. And it quickly gets into the northeast come Monday and Tuesday. Looks like a winter mix at this point around New York City, but probably accumulating, if not very big snow coming for New England on Tuesday. Phil?
All right, Rob Marciano, thanks. So let's head now out west, where Southern California continues to deal with snow and extreme weather. You just heard Rob talk about it. Maria Villarreal joins us now. Maria, you're about 70 miles outside of Los Angeles. I would say set the scene for us, but we can see it right behind you. That is unreal.
Yeah, Phil, everything that Rob was talking about, we're actually in the thick of it right now. You can see it all right behind me. This is Wrightwood, California, and you can barely tell where we are because there is so much snow coming down. The plows are going around the clock to try and clear the roadways out, but right now, this is brutal on our faces, on our bodies. It is extremely cold, and this is just the beginning. It is expected to get worse overnight. 60-mile-per-hour winds. On top of that, 5 feet feet of snow. We've talked to a lot of people living in this area. They say they have never seen anything like it before. Just a few minutes outside and you can feel your fingers going numb. This side of my face is also feeling very numb, so let me tell you right now, it is great to look at, but it is not so fun to be in.
Maria, thanks so much. Stay warm. Turning now to Ohio, where the train derailment cleanup continues. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources now estimating more than 43,000 fish and aquatic animals have been killed by the derailment impacts. Chemical spills contaminated nearby streams and also killed frogs and small fish. The director of the department says all the animals probably died immediately. None were endangered species, and since the spill, there have been no signs of contaminated deaths. In Moscow, Idaho, the house where 4 University of Idaho students were stabbed to death will soon be demolished. Today, the university's president said in a letter to students and the faculty that the demolition is, quote, a healing step for the community. After a 6-week search for the suspect, 28-year-old PhD graduate student Brian Koberger was arrested December 30th for those murders. He is in custody in Idaho. Former attorney Alex Murdaugh was back on the stand in South Carolina today, grilled by prosecutors about the murders of his wife and son. Eva Pilgrim has been following the case from the beginning. Eva, the prosecutor said today this second day of cross-examination was all about, quote, new facts and new stories. What exactly did he mean by that?
Well, he's referring specifically to the issue of Alec Murdaugh's alibi and the fact that the very first thing he said when he got on the stand was, yes, that was me in that video that everyone has now seen down by the kennels. You hear the voice. He admits that it's his voice and that he was there just minutes before his wife and his son were killed. He also talks about this 911 call, about when he took the pulses of his son and his wife, whether it was before he made the call or during the call. He changed the story sort of in his questioning to during the call. And that's what Creighton Waters, the prosecutor, was focused on today, were all of the things about his story that had been consistent up until that point he took the stand, and the changes that he made in his story to create this new alibi.
So, Eva, outside of admitting to some lies, what is Murdaugh saying? What is his defense, really?
Well, he's admitted to a lot of lies, Phil, but his defense is basically that he was in this paranoia that was fueled by his opioid addiction, and so he didn't tell the truth right away. Also, he says he didn't trust state investigators. Another point that he has made repeatedly on the stand is, yes, I committed these financial crimes. He has a slew of financial charges against him right now. He says, yes, I did all those things, but I didn't kill my wife and son. Phil?
All right, another fascinating day in court. Eva Pilgrim, thanks so much. And there is still much more to get to here tonight on Prime. Coming up, how a toddler was found in Florida after surviving a day alone in the woods. But next, after the Russian invasion unfolded a year ago, millions fled Ukraine. We check in with a family we met at the beginning of the refugee crisis who have now returned to their homes. They tell us how they're dealing with a dark new reality. What do you think it will take to stop the war?
I think that Ukraine is not going to give up until we get back our territories that we used to have.
Whenever news breaks,
The crush of families here in Poland.
Here in Kentucky, no match for the tornado.
From Monterey Park, California, on the ground in Ukraine.
Reporting from Uvalde, Texas.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine.
Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
From Kathmandu, Nepal.
In Truckee, California, covering record snowfall.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
Here at this airport in Tampa, it's already shut down.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Reporting from Jerusalem.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news. He may not look like central casting for a movie star hero, but what he did and how he risked it all to save hundreds of lives from terror are what heroes are made of.
Really? That guy?
What's the life and death truth behind what he did? Truth and Lies, The Informant. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey, I'm David Muir. Wherever the story, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. For a year now, the people of Ukraine have been under fire. Russian rocket attacks from the air, tanks and troops on the ground. While millions fled the war when it began, many of them have come back to their homes to live their lives. I was at the Ukrainian border in Poland when the refugee crisis began. I checked in this week with a family I met there, a family split apart, traumatized, but found their way back together and even added a new member. It's good to see you. It's good to see you, too. Oh, my God, this warms my heart to see you guys all together and smiling.
Yes, yes, yes.
We first met Oksana and her daughter Anastasia a year ago when they crossed the border to safety into Poland.
We begin tonight with Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the largest invasion of a neighboring country in Europe since World War II.
At that time, the Russian assault had just begun. Refugees were in shock, traumatized, emotions raw.
Страшно. Ну, этот кошмар уже надоел там. Говорят, Польша будет принимать вроде беженцев, такая была информация. Ну, еще ж туда доехать.
Mostly women and children crossing this border between Ukraine and Poland without their husbands, brothers, and fathers.
I can cry all the way.
Anastasia's fiancé Bogdan had to stay in Ukraine to fight. Their wedding scheduled for 4 days after Russia attacked, postponed. The unknown, devastating. Oksana overwhelmed by Poland's unconditional support.
To the Polish people, I want to say thank you very much for the man who helps to Ukrainian women, to Ukrainian children, to all Ukrainian people with the food, with clothes, with nappies to the children, with the food to the small babies.
That was then. This is Oksana and Anastasia today, back in Ukraine, trying to live their lives.
Well, I have to say that the trip from Poland to Ukraine was very difficult because the border was closed and we had to stay in the queue for around 3 hours in a small minivan.
And then the road to her hometown was dangerous. It took 12 hours, but was worth it. Anastasia, what was it like when you got back and saw your fiancé for the first time?
We just stayed like for around 2 minutes, hugging each other and kissing each other. He even started to cry because he was that happy to see me.
And we were over the moon to meet 6-month-old Makari, beautiful and chewing on everything in sight. But he is young, blissfully unaware of the horror around him. The older children are living in a tougher reality, like 5-year-old Timka, who we first saw in that hard-to-watch bomb shelter video, describing the war outside. A year later, on Zoom, speaking to us in English. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay.
You're okay? That's great to hear. They have water and power, but the warning sirens go off daily. Anastasia sent us this video of her and little Makari on a walk. But this is home. It looks the same, though Anastasia says people are not, especially the children. War has changed everyone.
Children age of Timka, they take the guns, the toys, and they stop every single car to check the documents if they are Ukrainian or Russian.
Still, one thing has not changed over the past 12 months. In fact, it's only strengthened the Ukrainian spirit and the will to win. What do you think it will take to stop the war?
I think that Ukraine is not going to give up until we get back our territories that we used to have, including the Crimea. This is our final goal.
Anastasia says they still rush to the bomb shelter when they hear the sirens, and for a month they actually gave shelter to a Ukrainian family that fled the fighting in the east. They took them into their home. Just one more example of the Ukrainian spirit and their desire to survive. after 1 year of war. You cannot underestimate the Ukrainian people, but it is the 30-member alliance forged more than 50 years ago and its support of Ukraine that has been critical in hindering Vladimir Putin's attempts to recreate a unified Russia. As this war enters its second year now, joining me is U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Julianne Smith. Ambassador, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Happy to.
The NATO alliance has remained strong throughout this conflict. Some would argue got even stronger. But Vladimir Putin is showing no signs at all of backing down, despite the costs of lives and treasure, even in Russia. Should the world be prepared for a prolonged stalemate in this fight? Could we be in the same place we are if you and I are having this conversation a year from now?
Well, let's hope not. There's one person who could end this war today, and that's President Putin. And the NATO allies are united in two things. One, NATO allies are going to come together and continue to put maximum pressure on Moscow to alter Putin's strategic calculus. And two, NATO allies are united in their support for Ukraine. Every member of the alliance is providing assistance of some kind, whether it's humanitarian and economic or military assistance. And I see no sign of that changing in the weeks and months ahead.
So today, the Wall Street Journal, I'm sure you're aware, is out with an exclusive report that says two of NATO's biggest members, Germany and France, are floating the idea of a proposal of a pact with Ukraine in order to get Ukraine and Russia to the negotiating table, and are urging President Zelensky to consider peace talks with Russia. We've heard what he's said on this in the past. So I'm wondering, is there anything you can tell us about a proposed pact, and is the U.S. urging peace talks as well here?
Right now, we see no signs that Russia is willing to come to the table and negotiate some sort of peace process going forward. And so our focus right now is getting as much assistance in the hands of the Ukrainians so that they can continue to prevail on the battlefield. In terms of any proposal that's put on the table, we're always willing to look at fresh ideas, but we want to make sure that we let the Ukrainians ultimately dictate the terms in terms of when they're willing and able to come to the table.
The U.S. pledged an additional $2 billion in military aid to Ukraine today, and the first Leopard tanks are being delivered to Ukraine from Poland as well. What more can and should NATO be doing to get more advanced equipment, including tanks and those all-important fighter jets that President Zelensky has been talking about for quite some time now, into Ukraine? And how quickly could we see something like that happen?
Well, assistance is moving right now as we speak. The focus for individual NATO allies has really been in two main categories. We're focused first and foremost on air defense. The Ukrainians have exceptional air defense, and we want it to stay that way. Secondly, NATO allies and other countries around the world that are providing security assistance are focused very much on armor, and that means armored vehicles like the Bradleys and the Strykers that the U.S. is providing, but also the Leopard tanks that you just mentioned, and eventually the Abrams tanks that the U.S. will be providing. In terms of the question on jets, right now we don't have plans to send fighter jets, but we continue to be in a conversation with the Ukrainian military commanders to assess what the requirements are and whether or not we have the ability to deliver on each and every one of those. Along those lines, Ambassador, you've heard President Zelensky talk about the jets. He needs the jets, and he says that's the difference in prolonging this war and allowing Ukrainians to die every day or stopping this war. Why is it that the U.S. has not given him the jets he needs? Well, again, this has been an evolving set of conversations since the war began. We don't believe that sending the jets right now is an immediate short-term solution. Of course, we're happy to keep talking to the Ukrainians about this over the medium and long term. But most importantly, any system that the U.S. or any other country sends must be able to be sustained. So fighter jets, that's an extremely complex system. Part of the concern about that spring offensive is now Russia is talking to China, and the U.S. has been concerned. Secretary Antony Blinken has warned about it, that China might be giving military aid to Russia. How dangerous would that be, and what would the UN's response be? Well, we were worried about this before the war even started a year ago, and we issued warnings to China not to provide any sort of material support to Russia. And they have held the line, by and large, over the last year. We're issuing very clear warnings that if they chose to do that, we would essentially alter our position vis-a-vis China. There would be consequences. It would reshape our bilateral relationship.
Would that, in effect, bring us closer to a larger conflict involving more of the world?
Yeah, first and foremost, we want this war to end. We want Russian troops to leave Ukraine. But the priority is also to ensure that this war doesn't escalate, that it doesn't start to fold in any other countries. And NATO has been very deliberate in staying out of this war. NATO is not playing any active role whatsoever on the ground. And we've opted to do that for a very clear reason. We're focused on helping the Ukrainians defend their territory, and we want Russia to leave Ukraine as soon as possible.
U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Julianne Smith, thank you so much for your time tonight. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And there is still much more to get to tonight. Coming up, a teacher saves a man after his car burst into flames. Look at this on a busy interstate. The $2.4 billion Powerball winner is facing now a major lawsuit from a man accusing him of stealing his ticket. But up next, credit card debt hits record highs as consumers keep spending despite high inflation. We take a look at how big the bills are getting by the numbers.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television. From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now. This is where the newsmakers come first in the morning to be heard. America's #1 morning show.
How would your mom feel about your relationship with your brother now?
I can't imagine what it feels like to go from $20 billion to $100,000. Yeah. Are you worried about going to jail?
You write that you had low-grade depression. How'd you get out of that?
Wherever the story, ABC's Good Morning America is right there.
Two of the hottest rappers coming out of Atlanta.
Young Thug and Gunna.
Charged in a sweeping 56-count indictment.
What is this?
Rap is back on trial.
You decide to admit your crimes over a beat, I'm gonna use it. What is happening?
There's lots of us locked up in prison. We're not gonna let that happen on our watch. Not with hip-hop music, using our lyrics. We're gonna fight back.
Rap, trap, hip-hop on trial. Only on Hulu.
This is ABC News Live Prime.
Hey there, I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us.
Live reporting, breaking news, exclusives, award-winning, powerful, eye-opening.
How lucky are we?
ABC News Live Prime with Lindsay Davis. All new, streaming weeknights.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. A new report out today is renewing some concerns about how stubborn inflation may remain this year. And it comes as a consumer credit card debt hits record high as Americans continue to spend. We're going to take a look now by the numbers. A key index tracking core inflation monitored by the Federal Reserve was up 0.6% from the month and 4.7% from a year ago. The Commerce Department reported that today. That was higher than expected. That led to a sell-off on Wall Street, with the Dow Jones down 337 points due to investor concerns that it will take more interest rate hikes by the Fed to cool off inflation, which could tip the economy into a recession. The Fed has already hiked rates by 4.5% since last March, driving up the cost of borrowing for businesses and consumers alike. But as price increases, consumer spending was still up 1.8% for the month. And that's according to today's report. Americans are now piling up more credit card debt, with total balances reaching $986 billion, according to the recent data from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That puts credit card balances up 6.6% in the last quarter alone, the fastest growth on record, and up 15.2% from this time a year ago. More Americans are also becoming delinquent on payments, with 18.3 million borrowers behind on credit card payments, according to the New York Fed. That's up from 15.8 million at the end of 2019. And the problem could only get worse as the Fed keeps raising interest rates. And much more ahead here on Prime. The building where officials found a cryptocurrency operation hidden in a crawl space. And Deborah Martin explains how she went from a film lover with a dream to the first black woman to ever land a production deal with a major studio, creating some of the most beloved family films of the past 25 years. But first, a look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
So much happening these days, it's hard to keep up.
Things change hour by hour, minute by minute.
The historic weather that's now unfolding.
The worries on Wall Street.
We're bringing you the Right Now. Been a nationwide teacher shortage.
The Right Now look at the day ahead. An alert this morning for dog owners and the key takeaways from the biggest stories.
World News Now and America This Morning, America's #1 early morning news.
Today does feel a little different. Early mornings on ABC News Live. This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
in Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
From the capital, destructive Cat 4 storm.
You're along I-5.
Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news. Disturbing is the word to describe this story.
Master manipulator Larry Ray terrorizing his daughter's classmates.
More than a decade of abuse.
Psychological torture, sleep deprivation, sexual humiliation. That's only the half of it.
I want to get out!
Watching the documentary for the first time was so emotional.
I have no memory of that happening.
If he wanted to get to you, please, he would.
Under His Spell, Impact by Nightline, now streaming on Hulu.
Get ready, America, every Friday. The hottest trends, styles, and must-have. What's the right stuff to buy right now? I really love that. It's time to buy the right stuff. Yes! And save big time, too. The right stuff. Fridays on GMA. You're gonna love it.
This Sunday morning.
We are back in Ukraine 1 year later.
Powerful, emotional, historic. Martha Raddatz in the war zone in Ukraine. Cameras rolling inside Putin's war. The special this week, Sunday morning on ABC.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
Can I hug you?
Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
A toddler is found after spending more than 24 hours alone in the woods. A Powerball winner is being accused of stealing that huge winning ticket, and why astronomers are referring to a new discovery as a forbidden planet. Those stories and more in tonight's rundown.
A middle school music teacher is being called a hero after saving a man from a burning van. This video shows the man, only identified as John, safe in his wheelchair as the van behind him burns. Apparently, his fuel tank ruptured. Manchester, Connecticut fire rescue credited Heather Leonard for safely getting the man out of his van, saying her actions averted an almost certain fatal outcome. The fire department arrived and put out the flames.
A 2-year-old boy was rescued after spending more than 24 hours alone in the woods. He disappeared as his mother was napping. When she woke up, she called police. The sheriff says Joshua J.J. Rowland was found by a volunteer searcher this morning about half a mile away from home. More than 500 people turned out in the search to find him. Authorities say he's doing well, and the sheriff says he was hoping for this miracle. While school is a place to learn, a Massachusetts school learned an unexpected lesson: why their power bill was so high. In Cohasset, Massachusetts, a former school employee is facing criminal charges after investigators discovered a cryptocurrency mining operation under the building. The discovery was made after the 6th through 12th grade school discovered some unusual wiring and ductwork in a small crawl space. There's now a warrant for the 39-year-old employee's arrest after failing to appear in court.
A lawsuit over opposing claims to Powerball's biggest ever jackpot.
On Valentine's Day, the California Lottery announced the winner of last year's $2.04 billion jackpot was a man named Edwin Castro, who was not present at the announcement. But now a man named Jose Rivera has filed a lawsuit claiming he bought that winning ticket and that another guy named Reggie stole it from him. Rivera claims that after the drawing, he asked Reggie to return the ticket, but Reggie threatened to destroy it if Rivera didn't split the winnings with him, and then Castro claimed the winnings. The California Lottery says it remains confident Edwin Castro is the rightful winner of that money.
Penguin Random House says it'll publish what it calls classic unaltered versions of Roald Dahl's children's novels. That's after critics blasted cuts and rewrites aimed at making the book suitable for current sensibilities. The publisher says it'll also keep the edited versions, which change passages in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and other books relating to weight, mental health, gender, and race. In the rewrite, Augustus Gloop is no longer fat, he's enormous.
Astronomers have spotted something surprising outside of our solar system. It's what they are calling a forbidden planet because of its unexpected size. Researchers say the planet is about the size of Jupiter and is about 280 light years from Earth. They say it's extraordinary to find such a large planet orbiting a smaller star. The discovery also challenges theories about how planets are formed. Scientists now plan on observing this forbidden planet using the Webb telescope.
A music icon and a singer who could be on her way to becoming the next one. Our Lindsay Davis sits down with Sheila E. and Chloe Bailey for our special Culture Conversations program. In a preview, Bailey talks about the track on her upcoming solo debut that she felt was the hardest to write.
Everybody sees the front facing. And they never know what a human being had to go through to get there. So, yeah.
What you just said right now was very emotional for you.
Yeah.
Why?
I think because I'm really proud of myself. And I think if I even let anyone know an ounce of what I've gone through, they wouldn't believe me. So because of that and the woman that I became coming out of it, I'm so proud of myself.
You should be.
And that's really, you know, that's what the record is about.
It's beautiful.
You can see that full conversation and more in our Hour Special Culture Conversations. It airs tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern right here on ABC News Live and starts streaming tomorrow on Hulu. This Black History Month, we are honoring leaders in Hollywood who create seats at the table for many of your favorite artists. Deborah Roberts sat down with Deborah Martin Chase, a woman who's become a regular hit maker while opening doors for the next generation's women of color.
And give you
a princess.
If you recall being charmed by that teenage newcomer who discovered her royal roots.
A princess? Shut up!
Beg your pardon? Shut up. Or mesmerized by magical jeans that fit any body.
A pair of pants could fit me. And me. And me. And me.
And dazzled by a new Cinderella starring Whitney Houston.
I'm your fairy godmother, honey. You? You got a problem with that?
It's time you met the woman behind all those hits and so many more. Deborah Martin Chase.
Do you get a gut feeling that something is going to work?
Yes. When we were making Princess Diaries, I had the feeling we were doing something special, certainly with Cinderella. The ballroom scenes and the dancing and the dresses, those were the hardest things I've ever produced. But yeah, we kind of knew.
At the Harlem School of the Arts, Chase sharing the ups and downs of her career, which didn't begin on a Tinseltown soundstage.
So after practicing law for a few years and realizing, even though I was a really good lawyer, I wasn't happy, I was like, I gotta go for the dream.
That dream taking her to Hollywood. She became the first Black woman ever to earn a production deal with a major studio.
I had a vision. I had something to say. I knew I wanted to break down stereotypes, and I was just in a position to get it done.
And to find a knack for spotting new talent, like Anne Hathaway, Blake Lively, and Olivia Rodrigo, who became stars while Chase was building a resume of bona fide hits from the big screen,
I'm gonna be free or die,
with the Oscar-nominated Harriet, to the Broadway stage.
And the Tony goes to A Strange Loop.
Part of the producing team behind a two-time Tony-winning play. Behind the scenes, Deborah Martin Chase's power and influence don't go unnoticed. Just ask Queen Latifah, star of the hit The Equalizer, a Chase production.
Now it's my world.
Coming into certain places and seeing a Black woman producer is immediately something that tells me you can do it too. And the level at which she's done it has been something to aspire to.
Writer, producer Lena Waithe sharing this about Chase.
She blesses someone. People believe her. That's what she did for me.
Very early in my career, she read my work and she recommended me to other people. And you can always guarantee that if her name was in the credits, it's something the whole family
can watch. It's something that's going to last a lifetime. Lena Waithe says that about you.
I mean, it's lovely to hear. And I hope to continue to bring people along with me.
What do you say to little girls, particularly little Black and brown girls who are still thinking and dreaming?
You have to bet on yourself, you have to believe in yourself, you have to train yourself, but you can do whatever you want to do.
Is there anything you're not doing?
You know, it's an exciting time right now, and I'm thrilled that I'm able to do it all.
Our thanks to Deborah Roberts for that. And tonight we are tracking several headlines around the world as well. Rescue efforts where a coal mine collapsed in northern China's Inner Mongolia have resumed after a second landslide paused the search for survivors. Footage from Chinese media showing heavy machinery and rescue dogs being used in the search for the 47 miners still missing. The death toll from the dramatic collapse has risen to at least 6 now. Nigeria's electoral commission started moving sensitive election material under armed guard to polling units across the country while soldiers patrolled in potential hotspot states ahead of Saturday's presidential and parliamentary elections. Widespread insecurity is a major concern for Nigerian voters who will elect new lawmakers and a new president. Cases of dengue fever continue to rise in eastern Bolivia to the point that health centers have exceeded their capacity to care for the sick, forcing authorities to set up medical tents. 29 people have already died to the dengue epidemic because of it, including children. As the future of Ukraine hangs in the balance, the country's name, which translates to on edge or borderland, is also known to be a battlefield. Our next guest has dedicated her life's work to focusing on Eastern Europe and has chronicled the history of Ukraine for decades. Anna Reid's new book, Borderland, A Journey Through the History of Ukraine, focuses on the nation's complex past and its uncertain future. Her interviews with politicians, dissidents, survivors, and more gives a better perspective and understanding of Ukraine's history. Anna, thank you so much for joining us to talk about the book. I do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me on.
You wrote part 1 of Borderland in the mid-1990s, describing Ukraine as a newborn state trying to build its own identity. In part 2, the Ukrainian people did indeed build their own identity post-Soviet Union. Tell us about that journey and the resilience it required.
When I lived there in the early 90s, it was a newborn state, and it felt still that it was trying to decide what kind of a place it wanted to be. That felt felt quite fuzzy and provisional in many ways, and it wasn't clear what kind of path it was going to take. And even Ukrainians themselves, many, didn't take their newborn state very seriously. They hadn't got used to the idea that they were Ukrainians. They had a Ukrainian passport. And this completely changed over the past 20 years. And the big turning point moments were 2004, the Orange Revolution, when mass popular demonstrations reversed a rigged election, an election that Moscow had helped to rig to put in its own candidate. In 2014, the Maidan demonstrations, which threw out a pro-Russian, grotesquely corrupt president called Yanukovych. Both those events, the Orange Revolution and the Maidan in 2014, were real turning point moments, not only politically, but for people individually. It was almost like a religious experience for people, and people, when you interview them about them, they often burst into tears because it was such an intense moment for them.
And you predicted that Ukraine's geography as a borderland would be an issue. You write, Ukraine remains, as ever, a disputed borderland between rival powers. Ukrainians try to view their position as a blessing, a bridge. But as you said, bridges in this part of the world tend to get marched over or worse, blown up. And Putin has never acknowledged really Ukraine's independence. So do you think Putin's declaration of war on Ukraine was inevitable?
I don't think it was inevitable at all, no. In the 90s, relations between the two countries were very relaxed. Everybody was concentrating on the economy. In both places was the big issue because there's hyperinflation, people's salaries were worth nothing, they'd lost all their savings. So, and those trains, those night trains back and forth between Kiev and Moscow were full. And there were lots of business links, personal links between them. And had Putin not come to power, had a different type come to power, or had Putin not decided to take this nationalist path, which it took him a few years to do that, that it could be like that now. They could be perfectly normal neighbours. And Putin took the positive decision to take Russia in that ultra-nationalist direction. And there's nothing inevitable about this war. It's him that's done it, basically, and the bulk of the Russian population that's gone along with it.
Anna, you know more about this region than most, so I ask you this question. What do you think the future of Ukraine looks like now?
It's very hard to tell, as people thought the country would fold. But the likeliest option is that they will exhaust themselves in this awful attritional fighting they're mired in at the moment, and maybe end of this year, maybe next year. I mean, a professor of war studies I had lunch with today was saying 2025, he thought, which was extremely depressing. But they will fight themselves to a standstill, and we'll get a de facto new border, a line of contact somewhere in the east and south. And depending on how this spring's offensives go, Ukraine could take more ground back. Or it could be actually not very different from what we've got now. Likeliest outcome, and I really hate to say this, is some sort of partitioning of Ukraine. Unless the Russian army collapses, they can't get Crimea back.
Anna Reid, thank you for the conversation. Do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Borderland, A Journey Through the History of Ukraine is available for purchase wherever books are sold. Before we go tonight, we return to our top story for our image of the day. This one, marking 1 year since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, photographs placed on graves of those who have been killed, as Ukraine's president pledging victory this year. That's our show for tonight. I'm Phil Lipoff. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis. You can always find us on Hulu, the ABC News app, and, of course, on abcnews.com. We'll be right back.